Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We have some breaking news. This is the news story that I reported on Friday when I launched my new website, dailypalantir.com, and it was kind of ironic because I launched the website and then 10 minutes later, we had some pretty breaking news. Now, before we get into it, Palantir and Ukraine are starting to get linked, primarily because we've seen there was a Lithuanian governmental link that went back to foundry.gov.com. I did that video about a week ago. Now, why is this relevant? Lithuania has a Ukrainian refugee initiative in which Ukrainian refugees are going to be able to go into Lithuania without having to have immigration, all those documents and everything, because they're refugees, and they're going to be stored and housed in Lithuania. There's a lot of data that is involved when you have a bunch of people randomly coming to an entire new country and having to be able to take care of them. Take care of their status, their identity status. They're taking care of all the different things that are associated with where they're coming from. There's a lot of data involved. So when we found that Lithuania link that directs back to foundry.gov.com, and you need a password to enter it, and if you change one letter of the URL, it totally changes. It made a lot of sense because this is a data problem. Palantir is ramping up its defense spending, or its ability to land defense contracts within Europe, because that's where we see defense spending increasing. So logical 2 and 2 made sense. Now, this article here that I broke really showed me that I believe Palantir is benefiting massively from what's going on with the Ukraine refugee crisis. And again, benefiting because, not because they want to benefit, but benefiting because some technology has to solve this problem or mitigate the effects of this problem. And I think Palantir is the best technology. Palantir is working with the UK to manage data for Ukrainian refugees. Now, as soon as I say that, you might be thinking, oh, what's his hypothesis? What is he trying to say? What is the speculation that he's trying to do? There is no speculation. This is a fact, and it surprised me when I found that it was going on. So I'm not going to read through all the article. I'm just going to go through a couple parts that I think are really, really important. This is what I got from Twitter, and this is why I think the community is so important, because when I get random tips or DMs from people on Twitter, it helps me make content, makes articles, and this is why I love the Palantir community, because I believe the information is expanding. Here's what I found from a tip sent on Twitter. If you search Palantir Homes for Ukraine, this is the website that pops up. So let's do that right now. Palantir Homes for Ukraine. Oh, wow. Let me take away the quotes. My article popped up. What if I take away the quotes? There we go. All right. So we get the first link. All right. Homes for Ukraine via a sponsorship scheme. Scheme, for those in America, we probably think it means something bad. In UK and Europe, scheme just means a thing that they're doing. It's not really a bad thing. So this is a website that pops up. Now, from the website, this is what they say. The Department for Leveling Up Housing and Committees, or DLUHC, and the Home Office are data controllers for the Homes for Ukraine visa sponsorship scheme. The purpose of the privacy notice is to tell you that the DLUHS and the DLUHC and the Home Office will process your personal data for their shared purposes to deliver the sponsorship scheme and the common objective of providing homes to those fleeing the war in Ukraine. You have rights concerning how your data is collected and used for this purpose. We inform you here what those rights are and how you can exercise them. So this website is to let people know how their data is being collected within the Homes for Ukraine privacy scheme that is going on right now. And what is Homes for Ukraine? Well, if you go to their website, Homes for Ukraine, the UK is one of the most generous nations in the world, and the British public are now being asked to go one step further and open their homes to those fleeing the war in Ukraine. Homes for Ukraine is a UK initiative, and as we can see, homesforukraine.campaign.gov.uk, so it is an official thing. And again, we saw Lithuania is doing pretty much the same thing, where they're allowing refugees to enter into the United Kingdom with no questions asked because of the tragedy that's going on in Ukraine. And this was recently launched. Since the scheme was launched on March 14th, an incredible number of people and organizations have recorded their interest in being a sponsor. Only some of these will ultimately become sponsors, but it is yet a reminder of the extraordinary generosity of the British public. What I mean a sponsor is someone who ends up guesting someone in their house, right? So they say at the bottom, we also know that those who don't end up sponsoring guests, which means opening your home to let people come in from Ukraine in their homes, can nonetheless play an important role in helping to welcome those arriving from Ukraine and ensure they integrate effectively into our society, making sure that when you have a bunch of new people from a new population entering into the UK, that they're not seen as outsiders or seen with disrespect. Phase 1 of the UK's government Home for Ukraine scheme opened on Friday, March 18th, and for this users, this is designed to be a digital process. An additional step applies if an applicant from Ukraine does not have a passport. A data problem. You're getting a bunch of people into the UK, into Lithuania, which are amazing initiatives, but it's a pretty big data problem. So let's go down, and here's the sort of punchline of my article. If you Command F Palantir on the website, this is what you get. And let me do it on the website, not even on my article, so you guys see it live. Boom. Palantir, search. This is from the gov.uk website. The DLUHC, which again is the Department of Leveling Up Housing and Communities, and the Home Office have appointed a third-party company Palantir. I'll say it again. The DLUHC and Home Office have appointed a third-party company, Palantir, to assist with the collation analysis and support relating to the expressions of interest and the matching of potential sponsors with applicants once sponsor expressions of interest and visa applications have been received. What does that actually mean? That means that Palantir's software is powering two dynamics that are going on. There are sponsors, meaning you have a house in West Street and you want that house to be up for sponsorship, meaning you would allow someone from the Ukrainian refugee to enter your house. And then you have a Ukrainian refugee. Well, that Ukrainian refugee is a vegan. They don't eat meat. Your house, you eat a lot of meat. That's probably not going to be the best mix. So what Palantir software is doing is trying to match the best and make the best analysis and interpretation of the data that they have, the data coming from the Ukrainian refugees and their profile, and the actual sponsors and what they are willing to open up their house to. So if you have bad mixes, you don't want to make that connection because then those sponsors are probably not going to have the best time and it's going to be a hard adjustment period. And those Ukrainian refugees also are not going to be the most comfortable in that situation. So when I saw that, that's kind of the extent of what essentially that they're doing. They're trying to match potential sponsors with the best. They're trying to match Ukrainian refugees with the best potential sponsors. Now that's a data problem, and this is a pattern recognition problem as well. And we've seen Palantir have more than enough capability to do basic pattern matching and recognition abilities, but their software is likely the best in the world at actually being able to do that in an efficient way. The key punchline of this, the reason I was so surprised, is because it's explicit. It's on the UK website. Third-party company, Palantir. There's no surprise. There's nothing else about it. They're working with Palantir. Now, granted, this was not a press release, and you guys can read out the full article as well if you want to check it out. But this was not a press release, right? Palantir didn't come out with this information. This information was just given on the UK website after I did some digging because I got some search results or some DMs from people on Twitter. Now, why does this matter long term? There's a couple of layers of analysis here. Number one, it shows that Palantir is able to actually land some major contracts with the crisis that's going on right now, reiterating the argument that Alex Karp is going for, that good times or bad times are good for Palantir. Why are bad times good for Palantir? Because Palantir is one of those companies that thrives in chaos, particularly because they have a technology product that makes sure their software is able to be in moments when things are integral. This is why they were rumored to be, helping in the process of killing Osama bin Laden. This is why they were able to find Bernie Madoff. This is why they were able to manage COVID vaccine distribution in the United Kingdom and took over the entire NHS's initiative in order to be able to do this, which landed them a $34 million contract to work with the NHS, which is the healthcare service in the United Kingdom. So we know that Palantir, and we said this, the CEO has said this very clearly, when things go bad, Palantir is there to clean up the mess or help mitigate the type of mess that happens, because you need a type of data analytics platform and a type of data analytics software that is so differentiated that it's better than any type of software that tries to do this. This is why he also pulled out a letter last week or 2 weeks ago called In Defense of Europe, where it's basically a sales pitch, but he's urging European leaders to be like, hey, you guys need the technology to actually solve these problems. We have the technology. We've always had the technology. Now it's time for you to make the technological commitment to actually buy the software and make sure that you have your legitimate defense. That's the first piece of analysis. It's kind of like reinforcing this argument about bad times are good for Palantir. The second thing is that this is showing me they have the ability to get contracts that aren't in their wheelhouse. Palantir has worked with the United Kingdom for the past 2 years, really 2.5 years, but those have been primarily in the healthcare system, right? They've been operationalizing and making sure that their healthcare system is more efficient, more productive. There's an article that came out a couple of days ago that they saved 28% of time for patients, which results in tens of thousands of hours of backlog going away. So that's a really amazing thing, and that's why they got a $34 million contract, and I believe that contract absolutely will be extended because it expires December 2022. This is likely a new contract. Let's remember this. This is a brand new website. This has nothing to do with the NHS. This is the DLUHC committee that is trying to make sure data is collected in a meaningful way to match sponsors with Ukrainian refugees. They have appointed a third-party company, Palantir. When they mean appointed, that means they gave Palantir a contract to be able to execute this task. Palantir is obviously not doing it for free. That has nothing to do with the NHS, which means Palantir is deepening their hold on the UK government by diversifying the types of things they can do for them. And this example of working with the UK government when it comes to the Ukrainian refugee initiative is just another way or another example, to me, in my opinion, of them being able to expand, which I think is a really good thing. And I think that it is a very good thing in relationship to this argument that they are not able to get governmental contracts anymore that we've seen made by some very high figures in Wall Street in the investing world. I don't think they accounted for the Ukrainian refugee crisis, because what companies are going to actually solve this? Lithuania we're seeing with Palantir, UK we're seeing with Palantir, and this is only the stuff we know. There's a lot of other companies or a lot of other countries likely working with them that we don't know. Now, that's speculation. We're going to see in the next quarters if it shows up on the earnings report. But when you see stuff like this, where they are explicitly working to help match sponsors with refugees, you start to feel that this is likely going to be something that is beneficial for Palantir long term, because they have the tech to be able to solve it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. dailypalantir.com. Please make sure you guys subscribe to it. You get a newsletter every Thursday with updates. We're not going to spam your email, just a newsletter every Thursday on the hottest Palantir news. This is a curated feed of Palantir content that is not sourcing articles from the internet, that I am writing every single day. It's really, really interesting stuff. I would, if you wanted to find your daily place to actually get Palantir news versus like Reddit or Twitter or YouTube, I think Daily Palantir would be the way. Thank you guys for watching so much. Let me know your thoughts on how do you feel about the United Kingdom working with Palantir to actually be able to solve this data problem of matching sponsors with Ukrainian refugees, and how do you think this affects Palantir's governmental business long term? Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.